Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another rant, and this is going to be about a 41-year-old Microsoft developer named Nicholas Lester, who all of a sudden puts his own child at harm, his 7-year-old son. So let me explain why it's actually pretty ludicrous if you hear it. But I don't know, for those who haven't heard it, it's best if I give you the update. So this guy actually decides to immediately choke his son, his 7-year-old son, simply because he refused to play the Nintendo along with the play along, as in like he refused to play the Nintendo Switch with him. And you know what he does? He puts his son under a headlock, and he says, "I will choke you until you stop breathing." Disturbing words. But looking from the picture, like he just isn't like he seems narrow-minded, considering considering that he's mentioned to be one of the best Microsoft developers, and he lost that opportunity. And then I was up to date that the mother has discovered that and then there were witnesses discovering that when she rushed to the bedroom, she found his son being in that situation with his own father, like putting pressure on him. And then apparently there was other witnesses as well, which apparently did take place on February 5th of this year. And then afterwards is that he did go to court. He did plead guilty to unlawful assault, and that he will have to be working 100 hours unpaid. And then he'll have to do 1 year the correction community order, judged based on what the law has decided. They have suggested that he follow these circumstances. If not, then most likely he'll go to jail. But the thing is, considering like although how aggravated the assault was, because because he was upset that he was under, what was being said is that he was under a fit of rage, the father, because the son speak against his own will. He was speaking for his own will. The son was speaking for himself. He speaks against his own father's will, and that's where that fit of rage started. But really, by just looking at the picture, it doesn't really seem like he really has a good connection with his son. But that's just my opinion. Like he just seems like a narrow-minded person, considering his skills. Also, just because somebody like that, you also need to realize, even if people do incredible skill in certain hobbies, in certain like occupations, it also does not take away their brain capacity as well. Their they may have great knowledge, but it doesn't take away. It does not reconsider whether they have low IQ or not. You can still be a great performer. You can still be an improved like teacher, an improved developer, but at the same time, like your brain is not always there. Your brain can go somewhere else. Like you're not thinking how, like you're not responding the way normal people should respond, and how they interact with others. But like again, I'm very surprised he didn't go to jail. But like honestly, considering I'm assuming the kid didn't suffer any injuries, but he is traumatized for sure, 100%. And you think like, was it really that serious? Was it really that like? Was it really that serious to do? Like, was it really a good idea to do it in the first place? Is this the way of disciplining your son? Like, I'm trying to figure out. I'm stuttering, trying to wonder like what he was thinking in the beginning. Like, is it because his son doesn't like him? Is it because his son doesn't feel comfortable with him? Is it just to get attached with him, or is he not in touch with reality? I think that's how we look at the man's not in touch with reality. He's not too sure of himself, what he was thinking. Maybe like, I'm not gonna say whether he's having a bad day, because there's really no excuse for this. He clearly was not there. Like he wasn't thinking with the right mindset. I think how his mind works is that like if he's playing if anything that involves video games, he must find someone to challenge. It's more like maybe he was finding somebody to challenge in the first place, and he gets upset whether they quit on him, even if it involves a 7-year old, even if a 7-year old refuses it, especially his own son, because like it's like he may not be the first. I can guarantee you he's not the first. But you can tell there are people who get upset, who always have a massive rage fit when it comes to video games, because they can't keep their composure. Because video games. Then you need to realize, people, video games can actually take over your life, because some people believe they have to live the lifestyle where their um their life involves loving video games, being passionate, and nothing wrong with having passion for something are that you have been knowing for a certain amount of time, that you've been playing through the long run, that you've known during your childhood. But at the same time, it can also hurt you mentally, because he's like one of those gamers who stream on like Twitch or wherever, like, who can't keep their composure, because you know what? Because they need somebody to interact with. For him, it was like maybe he needs somebody to challenge. Maybe it's just because these days games don't feel like games. They don't feel fun if you're not competing with other people. But sometimes also a bad idea to compete with other people. Like if you realize, and then you can't get over it. If you realize if they manage to beat you several times, or they have a habit of like beating you in certain video games, or like having more experience, then sometimes that person will take upon it themselves to go off on that person. They'll be extremely jealous, and they'll believe that, they'll try to make a huge statement. And then their point will come across as stupid and saying, "Oh, I'm better at you. You cheated," all that nonsense. Because the fact that games for them is like a mandatory like action for them. It's like a mandatory goal in their life, is that it's important that they strive to win in video games, just like any other hobby when that involves gaming, whether it's trading cards, board games. It doesn't have to be an electronic. Any game that's very popular indeed. But honestly, I feel like the punishment wasn't enough. I feel like he should suffer for child abuse. He actually shouldn't even be able to get a chance to be able to interact with his son, because I can guarantee his son is traumatized. Like I said, maybe his son isn't injured. He was still willing to kill him in the process, because if you heard the last words, what he's saying while putting him under a headlock, it was more than just talk. Like, it was more than just discipline. He had something in mind, and he was willing to go through with it. And even if he did, he would probably realize whether he would regret it or not. It doesn't sound like he would regret it, honestly, because he says he's gonna stop him. He's gonna stop him from breathing. You know what that says? Maybe he's miserable. Like he realizes, like, by doing himself a favor, by hurting his own son or hurting somebody, that he'll get off, and then it'll take away his depression. Because we don't know his lifestyle at the end of the day. Those are just my thoughts. But hopefully there will be a time where he may have a chance to harm somebody else, whether it's his own son again or somebody else that's more vulnerable. Trust me, he wouldn't have done that, considering his age. Like, he doesn't deserve to be a developer, because he can't. He mentally he's not fit. Because of that fitter age, he's not fit to actually be around adults. It shows that, considering whether he has this necessary skill, he has the necessary components, he has the necessary like teaching tools, whatever. Because this is someone who makes you realize he is a danger first, rather than expert. And maybe in the long run, if whether he decides to come to fruition, that he may eventually harm his son again, whether it involves another video game. It doesn't have to be the Switch, like for refusing to do him a favor, or refusing to be able to bond with him, or whatever, or join in and hang out playing video games. Because his son's, and trust me, how I know his son will be traumatized. One, because after the fact what his father did to him, He's gonna realize he's not gonna try, and he's not decide to have fun with any other kids his age or anybody else. He's gonna be traumatized. He's gonna realize, it's not worth playing video games. I might not need to be into video games anymore. If I am playing video games, I'd rather play on my own private time, on my alone by myself, with nobody to make me feel comfortable, to bother me, or at least feel safe, and then someone doesn't have to strike me like the last time. And again, his father probably does not care at the end of the day. He's just thinking about what goes in his mind is that he feels that he's always right and he's never wrong. And that's the kind of mindset that makes a narcissist. And if he doesn't go to jail, odds are he's going to do this again, whether it's his son or somebody else. And that he needs to be on the watch list, because even if he is the best, or whatever, the most experienced Microsoft developer, that does not negate what he did, and that he should be handled more severely, because he clearly hasn't come to terms with reality, and he feels his life is like inside of a video game. It's just too fake. He's living inside of a fantasy, and he feels like when you're living through a fantasy, you feel things will always go your way, but it won't. Which makes him very dangerous as well, because like those are the same people that I talk about, who've lost touch with reality, who can't come to terms, who you can't argue with, you can't negotiate with, and just the people you want to cut ties with, as well as separate, because you know what? They are a bad influence and a danger to the young audience. And hopefully, maybe they can find someone better. Then I'm sure not everyone's. I'm not supposedly saying it has to be the perfect person, but supposedly someone who doesn't have this fit of who won't who won't follow through this fit of rage, and that they have a better understanding, and where people feel comfortable, especially with their kids, whether they are a father or a mother, and that if this opportunity should not go to waste. And he wasted it. Let's be real. Nicholas Lesnar wasted this opportunity because he got upset over his son not rejoicing playing the Nintendo Switch with him. And he felt, I'm going to take it in my own hands to kill my own son. That's what he's saying. He said he may have not said that, but he's literally said he's going to stop it from me. And that itself is disturbing. And hopefully we don't hear from this again. And I'm glad you guys watched the video. Hopefully there'll be more future content coming later in this future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.